No matter where you are on the healthcare business advancement scale, let's peel the curtain and discuss with you the essential part of community building, trust cultivation, and expanding your influences. Welcome to Provider's Edge, the podcast that helps healthcare entrepreneurs and innovators break down barriers and control their business, life, and future with valuable action steps. With me, your host, Sabrina Rombach, a recovered clinician and a business deal catalyst. Let's rewrite the rules and create a positive social impact while increasing your profitability. Welcome to another episode. I'm your host, Sabrina Rombach, and today we have Dr. Leon Adelman here with us, and he is an emergency physician. He's the medical director at Tenable Healthcare, Clarksview, and Johnston Health, UNC. Leon led emergency department teams to experiential and with such expertise in patient-centered outcomes. And Leah is a graduate of Brown University and the University of North Carolina School of Medicine, the Harvard-affiliated emergency medicine residency at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center, and Haslam College of Business Physician Executive MBA. Leah's married to an ER nurse and has two adorable dogs. And I only have one. And she thinks she's a puppy, but she's not. She's a 6.5-year-old big doggy. As he expands his career and understanding, healthcare is complicated. And as physicians and providers, we have the obligation and the role to change that for the better. And he created IV Clinicians. It's a two-sided jobs marketing place, matching verified clinicians with medical practices, starting with the emergency medicine specialty. IV is the first to connect every emergency department in the U.S. with the practice managing the emergency physicians, PAs, nurses, NPs at the ED, and IV enables verified emergency clinician to search, filter, and connect with the right job opportunities. And we understand burnout is such a big issue in the healthcare space. And we also have AMA, I believe, said we're going to lose 144,000 physicians. And nurses is triple of that. So if we're continuously to lose people and the cost of replacing each provider, guess what? It can go up to even $1 million for them because you search credential, right? Any one of us, even with the fast credential within a month, right? It's still the cost of getting malpractice, getting things lined up, having the people even do your credential. So it's a lot of go into getting people to the right place at the right time to serve the patient and population that we need. And I love it that you are able to create this new way of being a matchmaker.
That's exactly right. What I noticed as an emergency physician was that it's just way harder to navigate the job market than it should be. Each time I moved or changed jobs or was looking for opportunities, even getting the first step was difficult, figuring out who staffs which ER in which city. So I was moving from Boston to Washington, D.C. Getting that information was really, really difficult. And it's still difficult. And then the second part is when I was an ER medical director, I noticed that the job market is equally hard to navigate on the hirer side. What you want as a medical director or as a recruiter is to know who, if you paid them well enough and treated them well enough, who would be interested in working for you. And there's no place where clinicians feel secure to put their information out there, because if you put your information on a jobs board, you'll get spammed, and people just don't like that experience. And so the market was just not working for either side. And so I decided to jump into this entrepreneurial world and try to solve the problem.
Yeah, I love it. It's about taking actions when you see a problem. Now, I wanted to dive deeper into that in a more sense of when you're in that position that you wanted to solve it. How did you go about whether you felt like, oh, this is a problem? What's the first thing you thought about? I need to raise funds, or I need to find people to build this matching software for me? Like, what's the first thing you thought, oh, I need to do this before I get to the next phase?
Yeah, great question. Because I'm not a coder. I'm not a developer. I'm just a doctor, and I have some admin skills. But that how to turn that into a workable tech solution is not going to come from my skill set. It needs to come from a team. And so the first thing that I had to figure out was how to build that team. And so I started meeting with as many people that were like 2 steps away from my network, and learn about how to hire a CTO, how to bring in people who can actually create the site. You asked a good question about the funding part. I put in enough to get started. So I put in the seed funds, but fairly quickly we were able to raise, once we had a team, we were able to raise a pre-seed round to get things going.
Awesome. And then are you guys ready for Series A? Where are you at right now?
Yeah, so we went live with the site January 2nd of this year, so fairly recently. And we have raised, I'll take the question kind of the next step, and this is actually potentially useful to your clinician audience, or your provider audience. So we were going to raise a seed round that was an institutional, like your usual seed rounds that you hear about, and you go to local angel groups and VCs. What I realized was there were 3 baskets of people that I interacted with who were potential funders. They were the physicians, PAs, and nurse practitioners who just got it. They were like, oh yeah, this is totally a problem. Like, navigating the job market is super annoying and I hate it. And if you could make it a little bit better, that'd be great. So that was basket A. Basket B was the clinician adjacent people, the healthcare admin folks, the people who are higher up at hospitals, that kind of thing. And they were like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it seems like something that maybe there's a problem. I guess we've seen a lot of stuff come and go. We're interested, but vaguely. And then there was the institutional folks, non-medical people who were like, why don't the doctors just go to LinkedIn like everybody else? Why don't they just go to Indeed? And so they weren't even bought in on the problem, much less the solution. So why am I raising money from basket 3 when there's all these people here in basket A, I guess 1, who totally get it? So we decided not on purpose, we were not going to go to any institutional folks for this part of the seed round, and just raise money from physicians, PAs, and nurse practitioners, and my brother. I let my brother in. And we raised $570,000 at a 6.3 million valuation for the clinician-only seed round.
Awesome. So I want to spot out a couple of things that is really amazing. What you guys did here is that understand your audience, understand who's your support group in the most basic fundamental level. And that's where, especially at the early stage, go for those people. And so technically you did crowdfunding for the people who got you the most. So
That's right.
why put in the effort? Yes, we can go for larger accelerators, the angel groups, whatnot. But then those people, especially due to the market, they want you to see you already have revenue and sustainable before they even put in more money, right? Because just like myself, if I'm going to sit on your board, I wanted to make sure you already have projection, because I sit on these evaluation side of saying, do you have a future? What I think is your potential before I put in more time to make those specific high level introduction, right? And then just like you're saying, if those high level introduction are not recognized the value, I have to boost you to that value before those connection can be made. Otherwise, you know what? I can be the best matchmaker for you, and it's not going to plan out well. So for you to go understanding the easiest way to get support and funding is to the people who understand the problem, and then focusing on them and get them even excited, because those are you what future clients as well. And another thing that's really awesome for everyone's hearing is we are recording this in February, and we're in 2023, and they just started in beginning of January, right? So we're only having a month and a half launch technically, and then you're already getting 500K plus a raise. So that's very awesome, especially from crowdfunding side. And what you said from the get-go, I think it also come from your MBA background, is that we understand our talent, and we understand we need to allocate and find the best resources and other people's talent to grow our own, right? And so you started by, you need to find a team. We can do this all by ourselves, right? Business doesn't run by one person. If you're a solo practitioner running a practice, it's still not going to work so well for you, right? You can't expand or scale at all. You can't create space for more amazing things to happen. So I think that's another key thing, is right from the get-go, it's now about how can you do more with yourself, because none of us have that many time luxury, right? And then so we needed to be intentional about where we put our money, our time, our energy into with who. And these need to be very skilled people in their own individual field to be able to create that network. And then you found those people by 2 degrees of separation of who else knows what, right? Almost like how we met each other. And so that's awesome. So what's next?
Yeah, so we've moved from the creation or zero to something phase, so the MVP phase, now to the something to product market fit phase. And so what we're doing is building on the core product. So the core product, just to explain what IV Clinicians is a simplified way to navigate the job market, right? So we have every ER in the country in our data set, and then turn that into an easily navigable process, much like Zillow for houses. We're the Zillow for emergency medicine jobs. So a clinician can search on a map. They search by geography. They filter by their preferences, instead of the preferences being bedrooms and bathrooms. The preferences are whether it's a trauma center, whether they're residents, whether it's a freestanding. They can search by or filter by the type of place they'd want to work, and then they can apply directly to the positions that they are interested in. On the employer side, that application then comes to their inbox. They can then decide whether to respond or not respond, whether to hire or not to hire. So it's for them, it's a little bit like owning a house or putting a house on Airbnb, where you're getting people connecting with you saying, "Oh, I want to stay at your place on, February 27th or whatever it is." So it's a lead generating machine for the employer. In terms of what's next, one of the key pieces of feedback that that we have heard over and over again is not only are clinicians frustrated by the lack of information about the employers and where they work and how to contact them, they're pretty frustrated by how hard it is to figure out how much they would get paid if they applied to that or if they worked at that place. So if you look at job postings on Indeed or LinkedIn or really anywhere, physician job posts almost never include the salary, which is kind of crazy, right? Like you wouldn't go to Amazon and be like, oh, this bicycle on Amazon, I like the bicycle, and you would just buy it without knowing what the price was. You like that wouldn't make any sense, right? Amazon wouldn't have stuff without a price tag. And yet that's kind of how the job market's set up right now. So our next step is creating a salary resource page. What's been interesting in the creation of that is employers really don't want to give up that information. They're very tied to that, to hiding that number, which I don't think makes all that much sense, but they are, you got to deal with, you have to accept the customers that you have, not the customers that you necessarily, some idealized world. And so what we realized was clinicians are perfectly happy sharing their compensation. And so we're setting it up as a clinician survey where clinicians are entering their information rather than asking employers to enter the salary information.
Yes, and that's also, I think, a crucial thing about taking power back for individual providers, right? For us to say, I am worth this, and right. I am confident in my delivery of the type of service I'm able to provide you. So why not allow me to say, this is how much the minimum you have to be able to pay me? And it's almost like that matching game of, well, if you as an employer don't want to be able to offer that, and you have multiple applicants, all amazing to you, right? Props to you. Right. And you have more choices. But as individuals, then we can say, this is what I'm able to pay. For if you guys think about, if you ever use any virtual assistant, right? That's what you post a job, you say the price range, and they can bid on your posting, and you can reach out to other people for invite. And it just makes a more of an open conversation, because money aside, then it's all about the outcome, right? The result. Because at the end of the day, we want happy people in happy healthcare. And if people are unable to stay with you, doesn't matter it's a short-term, low-com type of situation, or a part-time who only come 10, 20 hours, or a full-time employee, people wanted to be able to say, this is place I will always support because I'm connected to this organization or the people that I'm surrounded with. And that's how, at the end of the day, true success, long-term success can be built. And then just getting away the superficial things right in the get-go, it makes you feel more authentic, right? Honest and respectful. So I thought that's amazing. What are some of the challenges you guys are facing where you're continue to optimize right now as a team or as a company?
Yeah, the hardest part is getting the word out. And so we're in the process of building a social media marketing campaign, and getting essentially to be part of the conversation. And so we're putting out a white paper about our aggregated data that's actually going to come out in over the next few days. We are presenting at conferences. We are kind of using an all of the above marketing strategy. What we've realized is physicians, PAs, nurse practitioners aren't going to click on some random ad. That would actually hurt our reputation to be seen as just another advertisement. We want to be known as the clinician first place to find a job. What that means is clinicians need to trust us, right? And so how do they learn to trust the organization? Well, first of all, we need to build the product that is worth trusting, and also get the public trust of people in emergency medicine and soon to be multiple specialties who others trust their opinion. So it's things like coming on this show and talking with Sabrina, getting people in medicine to say, oh yeah, this is a better way to find a job.
Right. And it's about leveraging your credibility, right?
Correct.
And so I always say, especially for any startup or you have any kind of even device, right? You can be the most unique and the best product out there. But if you're a hidden best secret, how are you grow? How are you serving anyone? You're just going to serve your immediate little cocoon. That's not significant impact. That's good impact. But for us to get you to that point, number one, I always say is positioning. You have to be able to tell the story concisely to the point so people can be like, wow, amazing. I see that problem. I heard about the problem, even though I might not have experienced myself. And now I see that I want to support you, right? You have to have that hook first, which I think you guys are able to do that as you morph into that position. As you said, oh, we targeted our provider colleagues first, right? And then people to relay that message. Awesome. And then it's about how do you expand out, right? Like that reach. So then it's about changing the story in a different way that fit your audience. And then it's about authority building, that trust you talk about. And then how you are doing that, which I believe the same thing is speaking, leveraging other people's stages, because there are going to be a following, people listening in or attending certain type of conferences, events, or following these type of news channels, right? And when you already leveraging that authority, people are trusting you right away. And because you already have a clear message, therefore it's easy, right? Now it's just a revenue to spread the message. And then we get to the higher fun part, right? Leveraging your network connection, because then the intentionally get you into the right door who has a lot of people that need you or have the right circle of network that can actually become your champion to spread the message. But without the first two things, most people just want that. Sabrina, get me the right introduction. I'm like, what? Okay, can you talk right? Because my name is on the line, right? Like if I just put you somewhere, let's just say a big connection, they have a big group, but people start getting very confused on what are you trying to sell, what's in it for them, then you actually wasted that amazing opportunity. And I know, Dr. Liang, you even mentioned you guys are about to launch your podcast, which is another great thing, right? For people to plug in, listening to you guys on what's the amazing thing you guys are doing in the healthcare HR space, right? I mean, healthcare in itself is very human capital, right? Like a big resources on us providing the care. So it's amazing to see these phases, because once you start growing steadily, then the final step is optimization, right? How are your existing team really fit into each other? And then where do you need to plug in potential gaps? Then people can scale. So you guys are definitely in the right way of getting to where you are. I think everyone starts somewhere, right? Like it's better to have that clear head and then just keep going. What's the bigger vision that you guys have before we wrap up?
At the biggest level, the problem that we're trying to solve is burnout or frustration with clinical jobs. It's very clear that a lot of clinicians are not super happy with their clinical workplace at this point. And so we want to build a marketplace that allows you to say, if this job isn't the right job, there is a very easy way, a very physician, PA, nurse practitioner centered way to find a better job. And then all of a sudden you have a marketplace that is competing over us. That if you're not providing a place for for clinicians to thrive, you're not going to be able to recruit good providers. And so all of a sudden, workplaces get better, the job gets better. And at the end of the day, that means patients get better care.
Awesome. Love the vision. I definitely support you on that route. I'm sure many people who are listening, especially those in emergency medicine, where the life is so fast paced and it's constantly your brain is concentrate, right? Every minute when you're in there. And that's why I know I'm a surgical person, not an ER person, because I tried that. And I'm like, oh no, right? Like that lasts about like 3 months. I'm like, I'm going back to my OR. And so it's props for all of you guys who are in that space and finding this solution. How can people reach out to you if they like to support you, learn more about what you guys are up to?
Yeah, so we are IV Clinicians. You can Google us, or we're at ivclinicians.io. Our podcast is the Emergency Medicine Workforce Podcast.
Perfect. Yes. When they launch, do you have a launch day yet?
February 15th. So by the time this comes out, the podcast will be there.
Yes. So go find them anywhere you love to listen to your podcast, and also check IV Clinicians out. I appreciate everyone for joining us today. Until next time.
Thank you, Sabrina. This has been great.
Thank you for tuning in to Provider's Edge podcast. We hope you enjoy our latest episode and found the insights and tips helpful. We'd love to hear your feedback on the show and learn what topics you'd like us to cover in the future. So please take a moment to leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform and let us know what you think. Your feedback is essential to help us improve the show and provide you with the content you need to take your healthcare business to the next level. Thank you for your support, and we look forward to hearing from you soon.